Hi there, come on in.
Hi.
Hello.
So, what I was saying is that it's not just that these things happen in situations. Some of these things happen internally. And to me, this is one of the aspects of spiritual practice, is stuff comes up that maybe you weren't prepared for, or you didn't want, or you don't fully understand. And our default, not only for these social situations, but personally, our default thing is to get out of it as quick as we can, because you don't want to deal with it, you don't want to feel those things. So we do the fight, and we do the flight, and we do the facade. All of these, what's the other one?
Freeze.
Freeze, and there's one more F that we won't even say,
Yes.
that comes up.
It's not fiesta.
But we don't think of sitting with it. But there are some people, like Pema Chodron is one, and there must be many other teachers they talk with about learning to sit with these feelings. So that if you sit with it a little bit, and your fear response softens a little bit, now you have the chance that your clear part can get to have a look at this. Because once this cone drops down, your clarity about what's happening is over. But if you can sit with it for a little while, and maybe this starts to lift a little bit, then you can start to understand what's happening. And not only is this a compassionate thing for you, but you understand that, wow, the things that are happening to me, they're the same things that are happening to everybody.
So we invite these life experiences to deal with that same situation until we get it right.
Well, I don't know if you invite them, but they seem to knock on your door even if you haven't invited them. Right?
You're drawing them towards you.
But you're at least willing.
To deal with it.
Willing is a word I think of, that you're willing. Okay, here it is. I didn't really ask for this. I wasn't necessarily looking forward to this, but here it is. It's a now this. No, now this thing's coming up. What is this thing? And a lot of times what's coming up is old stuff, right? Yes, it's true that something's happening in the moment and this person is triggered and that person is triggered, but the stuff that's coming up is old stuff. And if you can sit with it a little bit, you might start to figure out what's going on. And not only will that lead you to be more compassionate to yourself, but that sense of empathy will also be extended to other people. So thank you for listening to that.
Wouldn't the first step be the awareness of what's going on? But then there's,
Yes.
but then there's the what's to do about what's going on.
Yes, the what's to do part is another whole chapter. So this is, but I agree with you that the first thing is recognition or observation, not action. Oh, what's this? So in my way of thinking, your clear part is inherently curious. Oh, what's this? Whereas those other responses is sort of like, you don't want to look. They're deflection, or running away, or blaming, or feeling guilty, and all of those create their own filter. So the primary thing is to see it.
Acceptance.
Acceptance, that oh, now this. So that to me is what the acceptance means. Oh, now this is happening.
But if it's something in your old belief system that's so entrenched, that's really hard to pull up the roots.
It's hard to pull up the roots, and it's even hard to see what it is. Because once the cone drops, then your traditional answers of blame and guilt get superimposed. And those things are a blockage to thinking. Because you already have your answer. Oh, it's his fault. Oh, it's her fault. Oh, it's my fault.
But even if you don't have the blame and guilt anymore, because you accept what it is, but you have to switch the thinking.
It's a hard part.
To get away
You've
from
learned to
that
switch
belief
the thinking.
system, the belief system that's pulling you down to a lower disc.
Yeah. Softening is one thing. Because those fear responses bring up a hardening around the edges of those attitudes. But the first thing is just seeing. So in the light of that, give yourself credit every time you don't revert to your old fight and flight responses. Right? And that you have the power and the courage to sit with it. That in itself is a breakthrough. Once you see it, the nature of your clear part, as I understand it, is it sees what's actually happening. So then any strategy that would come out of the seeing, that strategy at least will be based on what's actually happening. Otherwise, the strategies of this one with the cone down, they're not based on what's actually happening, they're based on old stuff. So your intake of information about what's happening isn't accurate, and then your response won't be accurate to what's going on. Right? Because you haven't accepted even what's happening. But that's not to say it's easy. But this is possible, and if you learn to sit with it, then you're not as afraid of it. And if you have anybody else in your life who understands this, they're kind of willing to sit with you a bit in it.
You're making peace with it.
Making peace with it. Not that this is what you wanted or that it's so wonderful or anything, but it is. And that's the acceptance. Oh, now this.
Don't turn it into a challenge.
Don't turn it into a...
Challenge?
Yeah. Yes, a
It
kind of
gives you a
investigation.
position. It gives you the opportunity to not have the mire get deeper.
Yes. Yeah, because out of these places, then the chances for you to say or do hurtful things is pretty good. And that, it kind of muddies the waters of what's happening. Like suppose you go out into this water here, and now it's just in the very act of walking out there into water up to your knees, you've stirred up stuff on the bottom. So what further should you do to make it clear? Nothing, exactly,
Yeah.
right? So, and sometimes this is just to sit with it.
Walk along the edge.
Walk along the edge.
Someone once said to me, if you don't know what to do, do nothing.
Yeah,
I like that.
but we're so trained as if, and in school you see how you're trained, like who's rewarded? The ones with the fast answers. And if some kid goes, oh, I don't know, I need to think about this. That's a bad answer.
Yeah.
Okay? Because we're on the clock here. Come on, let's get
Oh,
the...
yeah, yeah.
I need to mark you, so give me some answers.
I saw this interesting experiment. The teacher, there was two assignments. The one assignment was to draw a tree, and they had a minute. And in a minute, when you looked at those pictures, they were icons. And they were very similar. The next assignment was they were given, I don't know what it was, 10 minutes or 15 minutes to draw a tree. And in that 10 or 15 minutes, now the variety of what was expressed was very different than what happened in a minute. Right? Each person's creativity came in, and there were much more interesting pictures. Right? But then you need the time to let that happen. Do you have the time to let that happen? And we're not really living in a society that gives you lots of spare time. I mean, most of what has been created is you're expected to create a bonfire with twigs. Okay? So now if you're creating a bonfire with twigs, how far can you get from the fire?
Not very far.
Not very far, and you have to dash back with your twigs. And then dash out again and get more twigs. Okay? Time is not really... Time is a great luxury. So lucky are we even to be here today to have this time.
And that's the real richness in life. Isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah. Good, thanks, Don.